was checking a bag, and the guy by the counter, he sees my ticket says Nathan, the license says Nathaniel, and he was like, this is not good. He goes, these names don't match. And I was like, but they match, right? Like, you can see the leap that we took to get from one to the other. And he was like, but they're not the same. I was like, but they're the same. And I'm realizing he cannot find out people call me Nate at that point. I mean, he can't handle that. He's going to call the police over to be like, there's a guy with 3 names trying to fly right here. If you guys want to just shoot him from over there or something. So I was like, what do you want me to do? And he goes, you should go home. That's all I honestly said. I said, look, I'll give you that those names don't match. But what I think is going to help a ton is the picture on the ID. Something that I've always loved that they did. And I think with 70% of that name matching and 100% face, it's 170%. I think I'll get through it.
I go to church growing up. I grew up in Tennessee. And we went to church. I actually tried to play basketball for my high school team. But I got cut, so I had to play for my church because the church cannot cut you. They have to let you play. They could cut you. You'd be pretty bad if they're like, look, we think you're good, but Jesus does not think you're that good. He is our captain. So church ball was a lot different because we played half court, no three-point line. We played on carpet. That's your first sign. It's not going to count. And they didn't even give us a basketball. We didn't have a basketball. We would just stand there and play on honesty. You'd be like, I just made it. It was like, oh, that's a good shot. You're really good. I stole it. I forgive you for stealing it. It was moral points. It counts later. It's great having a kid. I've been married for 7 years, and so now we just have a 1-year-old daughter. So it's getting pretty serious, and this is what took it over the edge. We were living in New York when my daughter was to be born, but I'm from Tennessee, so we flew home, and my daughter was born in Tennessee. I didn't want her to be born in New York. I don't need her growing up thinking she's better than me. So I was like, you start where we start, all right? How about that? It's wild. I remember on the way to the hospital, I told my wife, I was like, look, I don't want to see anything, all right? It's going to be gross. I wish it was like the 50s when they didn't even let men in the hospital. But it's not. Now, doctors are like, do you want to deliver the baby? Why don't you do most of it? They just pull the baby out, and then they just tell you, here, cut the umbilical cord. They just tell you to do it, real fast. I didn't take a class. They just act like I'm the guy that cuts umbilical cords at the hospital. I almost cut the wrong part, and they were like, that's not right. I was like, oh, maybe, you should jump in. You did go to doctor school for this. I don't know why I'm doing minor surgery right now. Then they just hand you your baby, and they're like, all right, we'll see ya. And that's when you're like, I'd really like your help now. I need you to live with me or something. The first question I asked, they should have probably kept, I was holding her, I was like, how much do you feed it? I bet it's a lot. It seems like it'd be a lot. It sounded like I was buying a hamster at a pet store. The big thing they tell you, the number one thing they say, they're really big on they're like, whatever you do, let's just try not to shake this baby. That's the number one goal. And they tell it to you, they're almost like, obviously you're going to want to shake the baby. But it would be so awesome if you just did not shake this baby. That would be the best. And then they showed me a video of a guy that's here's what I do instead of shaking my baby. He was like, I take walks, for instance. I walk 70 miles a day or something. I walk a lot. Then I signed a certificate I was in kindergarten that said, all right, I promise, I swear to God I won't shake the baby. Quit asking me about this. I've never heard the word shake so much in my entire life. That's all we talked about. And the first night we got her home, she was like, you're delirious, you're just confused and tired, and she was crying for 6 hours, and I was sitting there, I was like, wait, are we supposed to shake this baby? Is this when we do it? This seems like when you would do it. But we didn't shake her, so it's cool. We have rocked her aggressively, but...
Got real drunk and then locked myself out of my hotel room completely naked. Yeah, I've done that in my 2-year-old daughter's lifetime. So if she hears this and she's like, oh, was that college? It's like, no, that's when you were the most dependent on me.
I'm from Tennessee, and I went to college in Tennessee. I went to community college for 1 year, and I don't have 1 credit to show for it, which is worse than not going. Like, if you don't go, you're like, I didn't even want to go. I wanted to go, and they didn't even give me a credit. I had to take remedial classes, which remedial basically means they're like, look, we have no idea how your high school let you leave, all right? We are shocked about it, actually. We're going to look into it. Until then, here are some classes you can take that affect no one. I took math as a class. Literally, I bought a book that said math on it in college. I took reading as well. Yeah, reading. I drove to that class. You know what that's like? I've driven to a reading class. Not even an immigrant. I'm from here. I should have knocked that out years ago. Reading, they're just impressed you made it. They're just like, look who made it today, buddy. You're like, well, you guys.
So I was in Florida, and we go golfing. It's very hot, humid, gross. You get kind of feeling gross. So I wanted to change shirts before I drove back. And I go to the trunk of my car, and I take my shirt off, standing there, no shirt. And this old man walks up and goes, Olivia? I had to turn. I was like, I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry. And he was like, oh, sorry. Honest mistake. And I was like, I don't know. He was looking for his elderly wife and saw me with no shirt on and thought that could be Olivia. I had a car that he does not recognize. None of this is making him not. He's like, I don't know. That's a dead ringer for Olivia. And I wake up the next day, and my flight is gone. I mean, I've missed it. And it's not like it's at the gate. It is in Austin, Texas. They are checking into their hotel. So I go to get my phone to get another flight, and I've lost my phone. The night before, I've lost it. So now I don't have my phone. So I have to go buy a ticket over the counter like it's the 50s. And when you walk up to a counter, they don't expect you to be buying a ticket like that. I got up there, and they were like, all right. I was like, I would like 1 ticket to Austin, Texas, please. And they didn't have a flight, so I have to do that at every terminal. I just have to keep going. 1 ticket to Austin, Texas, please. I finally found a flight, but the girl behind the counter, she's never sold a ticket like that. She's like, I've worked here for 10 years, and no one's ever done this. And she goes, I don't know how to do it. And she went back and got, probably the oldest lady I've ever seen. I think she's there for just this reason. Look, I say a lot of dumb stuff. I try to keep it in front of large groups. Seems to go better that way. When you say something dumb one-on-one, it's a lot for that person.